Hey, it's Joshua Vergara. What's going on, everybody? You know what you're here for. It's time to unbox the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra in this case. Now, a lot of people have already put their unboxings out. I was a little bit busy when this came in, so I waited until this morning in order to do this unboxing. So, since there are other unboxings out already, I thought I would do something a little bit different. You can see that there's a third camera here. I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to the side. That shot will be here this entire time, so you can see what the 4K quality is like from the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip. I literally have it just standing there. It's folded up a little bit, and I'm using the rear cameras at 4K in the Pro video mode so I can make sure that the exposure stays the way that I want to throughout the entire video. Also not too sure how the autofocus is going to work. Hopefully it's getting the box just fine, but in any case, we're going to go ahead and get right into this unboxing. Now, there wasn't any plastic on here. I kind of expect that Samsung went ahead and put a SIM card in there. They did ask me for one. So there's not going to be any of the plastic unpeeling or anything like that. We're just going to go ahead and open up that box. And now, there it is. This is a large screen this time around. After all, Ultra does imply that things are going to be a lot bigger and better than they were before. So we'll just go ahead and bring this out. I saw on the bottom that I did receive the Cosmic Gray version, and indeed, there you go. That's the one that I got. I'm gonna go ahead and just peel that right now. Cool. I love that on the plastic here, it had to go around this really large camera hump because obviously that's what we have to deal with the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra. Of course, we have the fast charger, and as it seems here, we are going to have a 25-watt charger, I believe. It actually doesn't say on the bottom here, but I'm pretty sure from the hands-on video that it's going to be a 25-watt charger. This can take 45-watt charging, which is awesome, but that requires a whole different brick or accessory kit. So, super fast charging says up here. Let's go ahead and put that aside. I just pinched it, it doesn't seem like there's anything in there. That's an interesting little design choice. To have the flap, but then there's nothing inside this piece right here. That's a little bit odd. I'm gonna leave that there while I bring out what looks to be the cable. Moving up to this, you can already tell that this is where the headphones are going to be. Again, AKG headphones in all Samsung phone boxes tend to be quite good. And again, these are going to be USB-C headphones, which means that you would use them in a phone that doesn't have a headphone jack, but these are also quite useful in any other device that have a USB-C port, which is something that I do quite often. I actually use these headphones with like my laptop, the Surface Pro X. That way I can have a pair of headphones that I can always use no matter what device I'm using, even if it doesn't have a headphone jack. So I think that should do it for the overall box experience, but there is one thing that I have to make sure I do this time. If you remember in the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip unboxing that I did a few days back, I totally forgot that there's an extra portion where all the documentation, the SIM tool, and actually a little case is right now. So that is something that I forgot. I have the case on the Z Flip finally, so let's see what's inside of that particular portion of the box that is under this flap. It's kind of sneaky to have it underneath the flap like this because I tend to forget about it when that's the case. All right, so there's the SIM tool. I already have plenty, so I'm not going to worry about that right now. And then we have the documentation, quick start guide obviously, but we're not going to really need this. And looking in the box, nothing else. See, it's nice that the Z Flip, obviously as a more fragile device, it has a case in the box, but you know what, Samsung, maybe you might want to put like a simple, clear plastic case in with your phones in the future. It's something that I really enjoy finding in these unboxings, and it happens with Samsung phones the least. So it's a pretty simple unboxing experience. We basically just have the power cable, a super fast charging brick that is going to be very useful, but you can always use high-powered PD charging on a phone like this. And then you also have the headphones, which are useful, but I obviously have other ways of getting my audio from my smartphones, with this little Easter egg over here being a hint at that. It's always funny, sometimes when you turn on these phones, there's like no battery at all. So starting Android, here we go. This is gonna be fun.
Let's get started.
Actually, now that I realize, I should probably turn that off. So this is a nice surprise. I have the LTE connectivity already. That means there's a SIM card in here, so they went ahead and put one in for me. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say thank you for that. Even if I wasn't able to peel off the plastic around the box to begin this unboxing, this is a nice trade-off. So as I'm typing in my account information here, I can already tell this phone, it's thick. Like it's it's properly thick. Like, you know that there's a big battery in here. There's obviously this huge camera hump with a lot of power underneath. But overall, it's a chunky device. And I don't really mean that in the bad way. What I like about phones coming out so far in like the later half of 2019 and right now into the beginning of 2020, a lot of phone manufacturers are just being very unabashed about their phones being high powered. Like, why not make them thicker? Why not just make them big screens and, you know, just put a bunch of lenses on the back? It might not be the best looking phone out there, and many phones might end up having these same types of tropes, but you can let me know what you think about that in the comment sections. And you know what, I actually enjoy the gray coloring. The black on black would be fine, but it's nice to have something at least a tiny bit different for the review unit. Yes, I do wear glasses. A bunch of Samsung applications that it wants me to install right off the bat, which is okay. And there you go, we are officially into the operating system. I'm gonna go ahead and start downloading all of the applications that I would normally use on my mains, and those will include things like Instagram, Notion. There's probably going to be a lot of camera applications in order for me to take advantage of these cameras. But of course, we're gonna get into all of that for my full review. Another hot take on the design, again, this is a heavy phone, but that also makes it feel a little bit more secure, especially in one hand. So it does like sort of, it weighs it down a little bit, so there might be a tiny bit more security there. And then my index finger actually naturally goes up to the camera hump in order to sort of create a bit of an anchor. But one thing that I would probably do with this is use something like a case so that I can even out the lines on the back, because that protruding camera hump is gonna scratch up real easily since it's what is hitting the table when I slide this phone around. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just download a bunch of apps on here, get that going, and from there, I'll just head out, do a couple of things, and just use the phone, give you some extra thoughts to end this video. So while I was doing the initial setup of the phone, I had to do a two-factor authentication for my Google account. That does that little pop-up where it asks you to pick the number that matches the phone you're setting up so that you can verify that it's you. Yeah, that made the recording stop. So that's the reason why the Galaxy Z Flip video actually turned off from the side there. Apologies for that, but here's your first video from the Galaxy S20 Ultra as I sort of explain what happened in the middle of this video. Alright, so I came back home so that I could take a look at the phone in a couple of other situations, but the 100 times zoom, I'm gonna save that for a couple of plans I have this weekend to take this phone out to various places in LA and try to get some really far zooms of various landmarks. The thing is though, you can see from the screen recording, the 5 times is what it defaults to when you hit that zoom level of the 3 icons, but all the way up to about 10 times, it still looks pretty great. It's after you get past that to around 30 and then of course all the way up to 100 that it's impressive how far you can get, but it obviously loses a little bit of detail and it's hard to keep stable. I mentioned how heavy this phone is, and because the screen is actually so big, it actually helps a little bit because the weight distribution on the phone makes it so that it doesn't feel like it's going to just tip over at any point when I'm trying to balance it and do those hand gymnastics. It took a long time to get all of my applications installed on here, but one thing I did immediately was install Dragon Quest VIII like I mentioned I would do. I got my cloud save and I started playing the game on here. One thing that I've already been doing with Dragon Quest VIII on the Galaxy Z Flip and I will be doing on here is locking the app in the background. There's 12 gigabytes of RAM on this phone, and that allows you to lock some apps in the background. That way they don't clear out when you're not using them for a while, and also even if you hit that clear all button, it's going to stay back there. So that particular game on Android is great, but the save system is really rudimentary. I really wish that I could just like save it at any point and be able to come back easily. To have it in the background ready to go at any different point, that's a good thing. Speaking of the software, there are so many little things that you can customize, right down to even the lock screen. You can have your own graphic on there so you can make it a little bit more personal. Those are all things that I have done on like the Galaxy S10 Plus, obviously, and I will be doing with this phone. So the next time you see me actually feature this phone on my channel for something maybe closer to a full review, you're gonna see this phone look quite different, especially in terms of the software. Speaking of the software, the swipe gestures that you would expect on like a Pixel or anything like that do come here. You just have to go into the settings. It's kind of funny. I wasn't really into full screen gestures for a while when they were first starting out, but now I have to go into the settings and try to turn them on, because now that I've used the Pixel for a while and other operating systems that have swipe gestures, it's nice to have that ubiquitous feel across any phone so that it's more or less familiar. So it's good that One UI has it installed. But yeah, that was just a quick first impressions look at the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra 5G. The 5G part, I'm not too sure how much of that I'll actually be able to experience over the next week or so as I review this device, but we can look forward to all of the other things that this phone has to offer. Look forward to my full review of this. I'm gonna have a few videos moving up to it, maybe even a real-world camera test. Let me know what kinds of things you want to see in the comments down below. From there, drop some likes on this video. Also, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Don't forget to follow me across social media as well. Honestly, all of the links are in the description. You know the drill by now. And until my next video, I will just remind you to enjoy your tea, everybody.